I do like our euphemisms on this channel, and I think the next time I have a spot of issues there, I'll say I got southern trouble, which obviously
Yes,
mean,
the
obviously
trouble.
means it means diarrhea. Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Audiofiles. My name's John. His name is Andy. Looking at the devil, grinning at his gun. Fingers started shaking. I began to run. More on that later. But first, we have a track to listen today, selected by Monsieur Andy. What have you got in store for us all today?
Well, we are going to continue our lunar excavation of the moon, as the name would suggest, by checking out Dexter and the Moonrocks. This will be our second go round with them. I prolonged this sophomore trip into Dexter and the Moonrocks a little too long. We did their track "Sad in Carolina," which you enjoyed. There was some a bit of multiple things going on, but one thing we could definitely pick up in that track was a little bit of Foo Fighter sound, early Foo Fighter sound. But now I have a more recent track by them I'd like you to check out. It is called Freakin' Out. So you're familiar with the band somewhat, having given Sad in Carolina a spin. I'm anxious to hear what you have to say about this one. So why don't you go off, give it a go, and come back and let us all know what you've made of it.
Will do.
In the cold to warm me up again. The weather's coming in. Let me out so I can get back in. I'm freaking out again.
Okay, very nice start. The broken bottle made me think of Grandmaster Flash, the message. That's just me. So yeah, it starts off with this really nice, and there he is, acoustic guitar. This sort of gentle picked motif that's kind of circular. It's kind of pensive. It's one of those sort of melodies that's normally accompanied with lyrics that talk about time will heal and it was never meant to be and shit like that. But not here. He sang something about getting warmer and the weather, and then going out and coming back in again, and then the titular line freaking out again, indicate that it's not the first time. So yeah, that's interesting. It does create a nice atmosphere, which I'm wondering if is just there just to be destroyed with a sort of guitar explosion at some point, but we shall see. Nice start. Oh, and I like his vocals sound really nice. There's rigidity to them as well. Yeah, sounds good.
Got something in my system. She said, why you gotta take it so far? Excuse me, I'm out of rhythm. Taking pills and sleeping in a car. Breathing out, I'm forced to breathe back in.
interesting. So I'll try not to stop too much, but yeah, I really like that bit. I guess that was like sounded like a refrain or whatever. There was slightly extra vocals there. There was this other sort of guitar um sort of weaving away. Added a sort of haunty layer to it almost. And then, as I expected, we expect this big sort of grungy explosion, but actually it's more this rhythmic 1-2 punch with the riff and the drums coming in as well, which is really nice. And then we're back into the verse thing again, with the full sound of the band now. And that acoustic sort of circular picking motif is now electrified. But there's also like a chugging guitar over the top, which sounds really good, and it's heading forward. He says something about breathing in and out, and then the panic setting in. So yeah, with the previous bit, him saying something got about taking pills and sleeping in a car. So your man's not in a good place, it sounds like. See how it goes.
Let me out so I can get back in. I'm freaking out again. Got something in my system. She said, why you gotta take it so far? Excuse me, I'm out of rhythm, taking pills and sleeping in a car. What's the use in being alone if I'm never home, I'm on the road? Can't reach me, I'm off the phone, 'cause I'm all alone, I'm not home. System. She said, why you gotta take it so far?
Really like that. Yeah, just to say, that guitar that was like chuggy then started to sound almost like a classic rock sort of guitar. There's some more sort of indicators there from his gone about what was it? He's not on the phone and he's all alone, he's not at home. Again, this sort of mental space isn't sounding good. And then we get this guitar to break rather than solo. It's got a lovely tone to it. It's got whatever effect that is that almost makes the notes sort of degrade as they're traveling through the air to your ears, and they sound like they're sort of withering as they reach you, which then they turn it up to 11 at the end of that point. So it's doing all this sort of like almost like radioactive stuff to it, and then back it comes in again, this time with a more fuller sound than that previous sort of 1-2 punch. But I really like this, just the sound and the noise of that guitar sort of strangulating itself at the end.
Got something in my system. She said, why you gotta take it so far? Excuse me, I'm out of rhythm, taking pills and sleeping in a car. You just can't be alone. Yeah, you've never been, I've always been. I just can't trust my bones, yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed that actually. I think the thing I enjoyed most about it was the pace of it, and how he handled it with his vocals. It just fitted really nicely. There wasn't any of this sort of, toddler tantrum screaming. It was more of a kind of striding pace, so not like a all limbs and hair sort of grunge, that full effect, which I really like as well. But here it sounded a bit more purposeful, and his vocals with these sort of wide vowels as he's singing really sort of handled it well. Yeah, I love that sort of guitar tone came back in again right at the end. Drum did a really good job as well. There's lots of these we would call medium paced fills that sound really. I think they're probably harder to do than really quick ones. It sounded really good, and again, he was then propelling it along as the guitar went sort of ape shit towards the end. Overall, it's got a really nice sound to it. This sort of blend of 90s grunge-ish stuff with this sort of almost classic rock sound. So yeah, it's got a really nice overall blend to it. What the song means, I'm not sure, but there's definitely trouble at Mill. He's not happy. But we need to find out more. Luckily, I know a man who does know more. And that'd be Brother Andy. So let's go back and chop it up.
All right, so you have landed safely back on Earth. What did you make of Freakin' Out by Dexter the Moonrocks, John?
Oh, yes, I have to confirm. Still a shitty name for a band. So I vaguely remember our main man from the last one, and I do remember the wonderful variety of knitwear which was on display from the band last time. He's rocking some sort of sweater type thing with the word moose, and I think it's Manitoba. Is it?
Yeah,
Must
yeah.
be a sports team. Is it
hockey
or
Yeah, you nailed it.
Yeah, I thought as much, but there you go. So the video starts with a very quick homage to Grandmaster Flash. Broken glass everywhere. But at least we don't get to see the people pissing on the stairs like they just don't care. So that was good. We then get some gentle ooze and this circular picked motif on an acoustic guitar. And it's that kind of sort of pensive melody which usually carries along lyrics with it about how time heals and how it was never meant to be and all that sort of shite. But obviously it isn't with this.
Nope.
Your man here sings with really on nice restraint and control. And he talks about warming up and about the weather. Sings about, not talks about. And then about being let out and coming back in again like he's some sort of dog with a weak bladder. But then he is confirmed that he is freaking out again. I think again is the essential word there in that line. While this is going on, we get some nice finger skids from the guitar playing, which are always pleasant. The whole thing creates a really nice atmosphere, which is a little bit of fragility in the way he's singing as well. And I suspect that it's just set up to be exploded at some point in the near future. So we then get Leonard's the refrain. And there are added vocals on lines 1 and 3 out of the 4. And there's also this additional tremulous electric guitar sound, which at first I thought was like a single note from the synth, but it's just like sort of rubato or whatever of this electric guitar, and it adds a real nice sort of haunted layer to the chorus, which is a bit different. And he says about got something in his system. She says it's really clear, and he says it a few times, so I got it. Why you got to take so far? Excuse me, I'm out of rhythm. Taking pills and sleeping in a car. As he finishes this last line, and in the video, he hefts his guitar like a pickaxe. In comes the electric guitar and percussion. But rather than this expected, which I hinted at before, an explosion of noise, which you would normally get, it's actually more like a 1-2 punch with a guitar riff, which is backed by the drums as well, and which gives the whole thing more of a rhythmic sense rather than just an explosion of sound. Both options are valid, don't get me wrong, but it just makes it a little more interesting. And then this circular acoustic motif has become electrified. So then he goes back into the next verse, and he's still singing in a very gentle but expansive manner. So it's like his vocals are, metaphorically spreading their wings, and we get these wide vowel sounds in particular. So not a toddler tantrum screaming sight as yet. Um, we also get on top of all that what I've just said, some chugging guitar as well, which really smacks of that 90s sound.
Mm-hmm.
And it sort of gives a little pace and puts it along. And as he sings the rest of the verse, that chugging then sort of changes into these more sort of normal notes, but it's got a more of a classic rock sound to it as well. So you've got this mixture of 90s and late 70s, I guess, music, which is really interesting. He sings about breathing out and about the panic setting in, and and again that in out action and the title line. So combined with the previous refrain about pill taking and sleeping in a car, I suspect our boy is not in what we would call a happy place. Um, I bet he's thinking it's like a jungle sometimes, and it makes him wonder how he keeps from going under, perhaps. Anyway, there's a nice mid-tempo sort of feel from the drummer. And I think I said in the reaction, I think that's probably, I don't drum, but I imagine it's harder to do than a quick fill, the sort
Yeah.
of mid-tempo, to keep the pace exactly right.
Yeah.
And it leads into these very wide open chords, and then we get the refrain once more. But of course, this chorus now, rather than having that sort of broken down bit before, is the full sound. So this time it's a lot fuller, and they use the percussion, the drumming beats, to get to more of a sort of choppy push-pull feel to it. But the overall impression of the song is one of these sort of I call it, grunge-esque type song, but it's at a striding pace. So it's not slow and plodding. It's not quick. It's just more purposeful
Mm.
rather than a full-on grungy song, which is, limbs and hair everywhere. Um, he then sings that he's off the phone and all alone and not at home, which all of course rhymes together. And then we get a guitar break. Oh, it's not really a solo. It's more of a little sort of guitar break, but it has a lovely tone to it.
Yeah.
And it's that sort of it's got that effect on it, which I've heard many, many times before, and I'm really fond of, where you get this sense of the notes themselves, this distortion on it and whatever else effect, but you feel like the notes are degrading in the air as they're coming towards you. That sort of the quality of them is breaking up,
Mm-hmm.
like Steve Austin on Re-Entry. Anyway, and it goes into this sort of final note of this little bit goes into this extended death rattle as it kind of expands out, and it's almost like radiation poisoning to it.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get a brace of lines from the chorus, and then sinking in with the band's formation pickaxe sort of swinging, the music kicks back in again. With this time, it does sound more of a traditional sort of grungy sound with the loud, quiet coming back in. And then he goes through with the chorus again, and then he sings the last line about how he can't trust his bones, which I thought was a really interesting line. And then again, there's a hint of this classic rock sound as the lead guitar throws in this cameo. Again, sounds beautiful, and it's a different tone to before.
Yes.
It's cleaner and more 70s, dare I say, but you know what I mean. And then it kind of pulses out with this final kick of feedback as well. So yeah, I really like this. I think I probably like this more than the previous one. I really like the overall sound palette. And what I've really appreciated about this was like the pace of it. There's all this control involved as well. So there wasn't any histrionics or whatever, but it still felt powerful. So it was a really well deployed song, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I particularly like the control of his voice. His voice sounded great in this without, again, doing any sort of gymnastics or anything.
Yeah.
Just really good. So yeah, this was great. In terms of meaning, I didn't really get too much. Obviously, I got he's in a bad place, and I got the sense of fragility.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that's probably as much. There's probably other stuff to it, but yeah.
But that's probably all you
That's good
need
stuff.
for it to resonate with you and you to get the overall gist of it, right? And that's great. I'm really, really glad that you liked this. And I can
Just
see how.
sorry, Andy.
Go ahead.
Just one thing. So it struck me, but I didn't write this down in my notes. But all of what I've just said there, some you can sum it up. This actually sounds a more mature sound and
Yeah.
considered sound than a sort of coming from that sort of place where it's come from. It's developed, I think.
Yeah. And I can totally understand that. In fact, I was just about to say something to that effect, in that I could see how this would resonate with you more, or at least differently, than the more fun, dare I say at points, raucous nature of the more upbeat, despite its name, Sad in Carolina track. And this does sound far more introspective and, a little darker, I think, than the other track. So I can see how you would recognize those differences and why you might choose one over the other. But I am really glad that you liked it, and thank you for providing all of your feedback on that listening experience. Like we've talked about, we've covered this band before. There will be a little bit of like some Venn diagram stuff that gets repeated here, but it's been some time since we've done the band, or featured them, I should say. So, but I will endeavor to avoid too much of repeating myself, and I will link the previous episode below. So if this struck your fancy and you didn't happen to catch that, or you aren't familiar with it, just click down there and watch that episode as well. But yeah, Dexter and the Moonrocks are an American rock band from Texas, formed in 2021. The band consists of James Tufts, lead vocals and rhythm guitar and great sweater collection, Ryan Anderson on lead guitar and vocals, Ty Anderson on bass, Ryan Fox on drums and vocals. Combining elements of country and rock music, they have described their genre as Western Space Grunge, which just so happens to be the name of their 2024 EP, which features the aforementioned Sad in Carolina, the track we covered in a previous episode. Stated influences include Foo Fighters, Deftones, Blink-182, Nirvana, Zach Bryan, Tyler Childers, Charles Wesley Godwin, and the Turnpike Troubadours. The band has also done covers of songs by Black Sabbath, Green Day, Queens of the Stone Age, and Surf Curse. James Tufts had been friends with cousins Ryan and Ty Anderson since they were in 8th grade. And after the three of them graduated high school, they all pursued jobs or higher education until Tufts' parents entered him in a songwriting contest without him knowing. Tufts very nearly won, and after some encouragement, he decided to form a band with the Andersons. Originally going by the name of James Tufts and Southern Trouble, the band recruited drummer Ryan Fox from an online from an ad online in 2021, and then changed their name to Dexter and the Moonrocks. Explaining the name, lead singer Tufts said, I was trying to think of something cool. My name is James, and Dexter and the Moonrocks sounds way cooler than James and the Moonrocks. There wasn't much thought put into it. It was just that quick, which may illustrate why you're not such a huge fan of it, because it seemed pretty of a flippant decision. But go ahead, John. What were you going to say?
I do like our euphemisms on this channel, and I think the next time I have a spot of issues there, I'll say I got Southern trouble, which obviously means it means diarrhea. Yes.
Yeah. It's funny. You thought of the shits, and I couldn't help but think of this sounds like a 70s like Southern blues rock band, so and so in Southern Trouble. And I don't know if it's the Stevie Ray Vaughan, shades of that going on there, but that's probably what it is. So, while various media sources have listed their hometown as being Abilene, they're actually from rural Throckmorton County, which is 70 miles northwest. By the band's own admission, their hometown has no local music scene to speak of, with Ryan Fox stating, we had to drive like 2.5 hours just to get into a scene. And even then, they'd pay us like $300 and tell us to go fuck off. The band described early shows before they got signed as being very lightly attended affairs. Tufts recalling, there was one where we showed up, and the only person in the bar was the bartender. That's the one person there. And even the bartender, while we were playing, is like, could you guys kind of keep it down? We booked a show there. We didn't keep it down. So it was an appearance, but those are the shows that you really learn from. It's good for you. We've played many of those. In 2023, the band signed with Severance Records, an offshoot of Big Loud Records, where they would be the flagship artist. Severance Records was founded by Mike Easterlin and Steve-O Robertson, both of whom have had long careers in bringing rock bands to prominence. Robertson had signed Paramore and Shinedown, while Easterlin had done work with Blur, Nickelback, and Smashing Pumpkins. This opportunity meant that the band would have industry veterans promoting them, while also ensuring that they would not be lost in the shuffle of a bigger label. They agreed immediately to the signing. In late 2024, Dexter and the Moonrocks began seeing major success. That December, their song Sad in Carolina topped the Billboard Alternative Airplay charts, their first time on any Billboard chart. The next year, the band released, and I have contemplated giving this one to you, and I may do it in the future, their single Ritalin, which also hit the top 10 on the same radio chart. But the alternative rock stations were the only places those songs saw any real success. They didn't cross over in any other way, shape, or form. The band's true breakthrough was the single we listen to today, Freakin' Out, which became not only their first Billboard Hot 100 entry, but also their first top 40 hit. The song was released on March 11th of this year, 2026. It debuted at number 91 and peaked at number 33. The rise has been attributed to by Severance Records president Steve Robertson to the band's aggressive and effective use of social media to promote themselves, saying of the band's drummer Ryan Fox, he understands internet culture better than anyone, as evidenced by the worldwide explosion of Freakin' Out. As Freakin' Out started getting traction in the US, it also started gaining success in the rest of the Anglosphere, hitting the top 40 in Canada, Australia, and New Zealand, as well as scraping onto the charts in the UK and Ireland. Capitalizing off of this movement, the band was invited to play at Strumming Bird Festival 2026, representing not only the first time they had scheduled a show in Australia, but also the first time they had played any show outside of the United States. On May 27th, the band released their follow-up to Freakin' Out, 12 Steps, featuring the band Treaty Oak Revival. Sam B. of Raised Rowdy gave a positive review, writing that the song builds exactly the way you want it to, stacking crescendos, booming riffs, and driving rhythms on top of melodies that just don't miss. And this is all in reference to Freakin' Out. He additionally remarked, the lyrics are fantastic as always, hitting that sweet spot between raw and relatable, while the production is absolutely dialed in, letting every layer breathe while still packing a punch. Stephen Andrew Gallagher of Vice praised the song's sound and energy, commenting that it hits like a cold garage beer on a Saturday night. Over at Life in Records blog, writer Rick Florino would offer up the following. There are certain rock songs that meet the moment head on, and Dexter and the Moonrocks are translating Gen Z's feelings loud and clear on Freakin' Out. It's the right song for the right moment right now. With a layer of shoegaze fuzz, a loud soft dynamic, and the kind of hook that lasts from generation to generation, the song is a gorgeous gut punch, to put it lightly. You hear it once, and you need to hear it again. Adding, the song is unabashedly anxious and tense, but all of this tension is wrapped up in an inescapably hummable melody. It culminates on a chantable chorus. Got something in my system. She said, why you gotta take it so far? Excuse me, I'm out of rhythm, taking pills and sleeping in a car. That's a lot to unpack in that refrain, and it's worthy of diving into. The song is undeniably powerful. It's gained an insane amount of traction, but it feels like it's still just the beginning. Freakin' Out could very well be the song that defines 2026. It's about to be their moment. So, these lyrics. As you mentioned, the ooh vocalization, which then evolves into, in the cold to warm me up again, the weather's coming in. Let me out so I can get back in. I'm freaking out again. Got something in my system. She said, why you gotta take it so far? Excuse me, I'm out of rhythm. Taking pills and sleeping in a car. Breathing out. A force to breathe back in. The panic setting in. Let me out so I can get back in. I'm freaking out again. Got something in my system. She said, why you gotta take it so far? Excuse me, I'm out of rhythm, taking pills and sleeping in a car. What's the use in being alone if I'm never home? I'm on the road. Can't reach me. I'm off the phone. 'Cause I'm all alone. I'm not home. Got something in my system. She said, why you gotta take it so far? Excuse me, I'm out of rhythm, taking pills and sleeping in a car. You just can't be alone. Yeah, you've never been. I've always been. I just can't trust my bones. Yeah. So, according to the band, freaking out is what happens when life on the road stops resembling a glamorous tour diary and starts unraveling under physical and emotional strain. The track is a raw portrait of anxiety, loneliness, and the chaos that comes from too many miles, too little sleep, and just enough self awareness to know things are wobbling. Freaking out speaks to a lot of different issues that people tend to face: fear, loneliness, and anxiety, all that other terrible shit that we all have, explained Dexter in the Moonrocks, and how sometimes there's nothing you can do about any of it except freak the fuck out every now and then. So yeah, there you have it. I think this is probably, and I know we've talked about this before, whether the bands have explicitly, discussed this or their history and the recording of it has illustrated it. When you're young and you get thrust into this big touring scene away from what was your comfort zone, a lot of things can unravel. And the term wobbly was thrown around. It probably felt like, at least metaphorically, those wheels were about to come off that tour bus, or in this case, the car he was sleeping in. And you try to, supplement that with whatever you know, whether it's prescribed pills or drinking or disassociation. And I think that this is just a song about what probably hundreds of bands have experienced, especially in the early days of their existence. So it's a really interesting track in that regard. It kind of puts all of that into words. So thanks for giving it a spin, John, man. I really appreciate your opinion and thoughts on this one.
Yep, no problem. Enjoyed it.
Excellent, man. Excellent. Well, guys out there in the listening audience, please let us know what you thought of this track, Freaking Out by Dexter and the Moonrocks. I'd love to hear what you all have to say. If there's anything else by them, aside from I clearly alluded to maybe doing Riddlin in the future, but if there's any other tracks by them that we should check out on this channel, it'll probably be one for John, but feel free to shout it out in the comments field below. We'd love to hear what you guys have to offer. Also, please like, share, and or subscribe if you haven't done any or all of those things. Only costs you a couple clicks, but it means a lot to us. So thank you in advance to anyone who entertains that request. And hopefully John and I will catch all y'all in growing numbers on the next installment of the Audiophiles. We'll see you later, guys.